welcome to our next panel discussion. You know what I like? It doesn't matter how many people are here because this next thing is on the Metaverse somehow because people can see us online right now too. So don't count the heads here. They're online too. They might always see this, so remember that, okay? Let's always bring our A game. Good. How is the energy in the room? Make some noise, yeah? Oh, wow, I feel like a rapper with a big concert now. Anyways, cool. Let's dive into what, from outside of the Web3 space has been popping. Everybody talking about it. Obviously, Facebook took big hits, but we want to know exactly what are the implications on the future of Metaverse. Right now, we are in the universe, but let's talk about the Metaverse, right? And for this panel discussion, I have the following speakers. Obviously, from Welist Ventures, I got Nadim. Then from Decentraland, I got Serena. Then from EXGOLAND, I got Mohammed. And from PokerFi, I'm going to try to gather him. Also here, I have Cristiano to present. And to moderate this panel, the best host there is. Please give it up for Gina and the whole panelists. Make some noise. Join me right here on stage. Okay. Yeah, no, we got to make it work. Nice to meet you. I will bring you a bottle of water, too. Okay.
All right.
And then Gina already knows I keep the time to make sure we keep this thing going, and the floor is yours.
He's making sure that I don't mess up here. But I'm not even going to introduce myself again. You guys at this point, you're sick of this lady, but you guys are all new. So the way that we're going to start the panel, we're talking about the Metaverse today, but it would be excellent if we could, in some order, introduce ourselves, talk a little bit about your project, let people know what is it that you're doing in the Metaverse space. So. Go in order.
Ladies first.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Serena Elis. I am a singer, DJ in the Metaverse. I've been doing this for 4 years. I work in the Decentraland platform. And for the past 4 years, I've been DJing and monetizing on being a creator on Decentraland. I do have a project. It's called Daydream, and I basically help other artists use their skills in the 3D space.
Very cool, very cool. Why not?
Hi, everyone. My name is Nadim. I'm the co-founder of Welist Ventures. Welist Ventures is a Web3 incubator, and in terms of Metaverse, I mean, I'm indirectly involved because we've incubated quite a few Metaverse projects and quite interested in seeing how that works in real-life utility and the future is upon us, right? So.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm Mohammed from EXGOLAND, co-founder on EXGOLAND and chief operator as well. We've been working on this for like 2 years now, and we're trying to build a Metaverse powered by AI on the Solana blockchain. With more than 100,000 lands as well. Trying to, we see the Metaverse as in the future. We think the future is the Metaverse, and this is the aim of this panel to discuss that. And but that's it.
They still struck with some limitations, but I think it's something we're gonna discuss here. But I'm really a believer on the matter. And I will keep looking for ways to make it smoother and more usable for people, especially on PokerFi. PokerFi, we are introducing, we've got a few demos now. We can play the video later. But we are focused on making their own poker house, Everybody can have his poker house. You can invite your friends. You can put headsets. And we play just looking at the person, more or less like that. But that's it. Thank you.
So you and I, we're gonna be passing the baton a whole bunch. Fantastic. We've got every level. We've got a project manager, content creator, platform developer, incubator. This is a really wide, diverse array of opinions on Metaverse stuff. So we'll jump in. We got a great list of questions here. It's fantastic. So since it is the future of the Metaverse, and we're talking about where we're going in the future, and a lot of these conferences are focused on what's next. Start with the really sort of million-dollar question, which is how do you envision the idea of metaverse evolving over the next decade even? Because at this point, we're moving so fast that 1 year, 2 years, that's not enough. Where are we going to be in the next 10-ish years? Where does metaverse go from here? We're really, all of us are very much versed with the idea of a headset that's immersive. But what happens beyond that as it starts taking over our life? And from all of our perspectives, you know, it's a very different look. So we don't have to go in order. We can jump in and we can do this conversationally. So, you know, just hop in, but somebody's got to start. Who wants to start?
If you want, I can start.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, the future of the metaverse is everyone has its own vision everyone has its own vision on how the metaverse will look like, how we're gonna, you know, interact with this metaverse thing, how we're gonna adapt this type of technology in different industries like, you know, education, businesses, all these stuff. And yeah, as I said, we're building a metaverse that is powered by AI, so I'm gonna be including this idea because also AI is one of the technologies that is evolving so quickly in the industry. And yeah, I think if we, you know, have a metaverse that is, the AI is your assistant, let's say, in a way, and then you can have like, you know, your immersive experience. Maybe you can do it without your VR headset. You can, let's say, do it on your desktop or on your mobile. And then let's say you're sitting at home just scrolling on Instagram or something or TikTok, and then you wanted to, you know, buy something. Instead of just like, you know, just get up off your couch and go to your, like, you know, local store or something. If you can have the experience, see the products, you can do shopping from the comfort of your place, you know, and then you can have the AI maybe assist you with that. What is the, you know, best prices, quality? Can I try the outfit on me before I buy it as well? So the technology actually, you know, you can just imagine it having the real world itself in the in a virtual type, and just, you know, creating what you want in your mind, let's say. And we've seen, you know, how you guys in Decentraland, you know, have somehow shown that this idea could be possible, and it could be the future, and especially with the Saudi National Day that was hosted on Decentraland. So it is a very big move. Yeah, what do you think?
Well, I really believe in the metaverse. You know, the word kind of just recently became kind of commercial. It wasn't really that long ago, but the idea has been around for a really long time when you look at Second Life. But I think people need to also be patient when it comes to technology, and not to expect, you know, perfection or it to be, you know, the best technology. I think it takes time. And if you look throughout history, sometimes things take about a decade before they even get to the peak of a commercial experience. But I think we see it in games like Fortnite. Now we see it in Roblox, a little bit of, you know, it's planting seeds in people's minds of what is possible. But when it comes to, like, you know, Decentraland, you know, I really see the metaverse being like the next evolution of content creation. Before the metaverse, it was more like streaming. Streaming podcasts has been such a big deal. You can do exactly what we do now, but just in a 3D space. I think sometimes the concept has been complex for some people, but it's, you know, everything we do on a screen is 2D. Now it could just be made into the next level of an immersive experience. Bridging that gap is just either finding platforms that are going to make it easier for people to understand. So let's just say Instagram and Facebook. Everyone's pretty good at scrolling up and down. The metaverse is just scrolling up, down, left, and right. So it's maybe some of these platforms will add another layer. So you have Instagram posts that people can scroll, but then there could be another option where you can enter worlds as another creative aspect to social media and technology. We see that in metaverses like Zepeto, who already adopted the concept of regular social media to what people are already accustomed to, and then adding that layer, which I think Meta is kind of, with Horizons and WhatsApp and Meta AI, that's what they're working towards. So I think it's just a matter of time, patience, You know, I've been doing this for 4 years, monetizing, so I know it's possible. How I teach other creators to do the same thing is just kind of educating them. And that's kind of where we're at right now.
So I'm going to tackle this from a different perspective. First of all, the good parts of the metaverse, and second of all, the bad parts, right? So in the good parts, I mean, in the future, we're going to see it in different industries, like, for example, real estate, healthcare, finance. I mean, it's going to help service providers train for these hard jobs, like, for example, you're a doctor, you're a surgeon, you want to train on a patient, obviously, without having a real body in front of you, right? Real estate, you want to visit a property or a house before buying it, obviously, so you don't get scammed, you want to see what it is, and there's so many different things you can do about it. And then on the bad side is that, I mean, these industries are still human, right? You still have the human perspective. So how do you bridge the gap and put into perspective people's personalities in these industries? Like, okay, the doctor is training on a person, like the surgeon is training in the metaverse on a person, but the person in real life has emotions, right? And the other doctors have emotions. So there's that angle that you have to put into the perspective. So, I mean, it can be the future, which it will, but it's going to take a while. Like in any industry or niche that's coming up. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, my vision, I see more for technical difficulties that we've been running. For example, Meta has spent billions and billions and billions of dollars, and they show like Avatar with no legs. It was a shame, but it's hard to believe that happened because they have lack of processing. For example, now people, the whole world has closed the doors to Metaverse to put their attention on AI, and in Portuguese, so help us, to put the perspectives on IA, and everybody is made, specialist chips. For example, the next generation of iPhones, they will have a specific chip, and the iOS will have a focus on IA. So it's already happening on some Android phones as well. So what happened to the metaverse? Not a lot of hardware developers have focused on building systems to make it easy. For example, I would rely on edge technology to put servers, so you can save batteries and work with Metaverse for many hours. For example, how would you put a contact lens to see the AR or VR if you don't have the battery for it? So you got to develop. What's the thing that most drain the battery? Of course, the displays, but the CPU. So if you have a big CPU, it will create heat inside the lens or the headset or everything, and you're gonna run out of battery. So people should do something to deliver the information already processed to your device inside your eye or your mind or your head. I think the biggest mistake of all this time was this.
So that's a fantastic perspective, actually, and you've kind of led me into the next question, but I think, again, each of you had touched on something different, and one of the big ones, actually, now Nadim has hit, which is AI and the metaverse specifically really are pushing us towards a less human future. But the point of the metaverse is to connect people. The point of the metaverse is to create a space where people connect and technology and humans can connect. So now that you've spoken about some of the things, the challenges that we're facing with hardware development, one of the questions that we were going to talk about was, so what needs developing next? You know, what are the challenges? What innovations need to happen to get more people sort of into the metaverse? Now, you've already basically nailed this question from a hardware perspective, which is most people don't want to wear the ski goggles that or 20 pounds that run out of battery in 5 seconds, and you have to do the big arm flailing. And, before this, you used to have sensors mounted around the room. So, yeah, the hardware is not moving as fast as we'd like, but now you guys have perspectives each. You're from a builder perspective, from a user adoption and sort of UI perspective, and as an investor and somebody who is actually trying to incubate this process. Like, what does that look like? What innovations have to happen for Metaverse to keep growing from your guys' perspective?
Well, let's put it this way, right? Let's say 30 years ago, nobody knew what a cell phone, right? Until, give or take, several companies created the technology that made it smaller and smaller and smaller, right? It goes back to what he said about the technology itself. First of all, we need to create an energy source that lasts a certain period of time. The battery issue is the most important. You're going to wear it for 10 minutes and then go and charge it from your, plug it into the wall. It doesn't make sense. So we're still really, really, really young in this industry, in this sphere, let's say. So we have time. Eventually someone will create a technology that's going to revolutionize this, and we're not there yet. We can think about it, we can talk about it, but we're not there yet. So.
I work with a lot of artists, and I onboard them into the Metaverse. But the biggest challenge is having the right resources. Some people don't have access to a gaming computer that can cost thousands of dollars to be able to even render Decentraland. So I think, having it where it's accessible on a mobile phone is, just having the right applications is really important for companies to think of. So besides resources, I think education obviously is going to be number one for me. And like I said before, the app, Zepeto is a metaverse built in Asia, and anyone can download the app and interact with the game. They don't need to have a certain amount of money to get started. They can actually enter into the metaverse and start earning their native token and start creating worlds, wearables. So yeah, they have around 100 million users in Asia. I think Asia is very advanced when it comes to the metaverse. It's funny because I went to Thailand and I lived there for 6 months. And when I got a mobile phone, they gave me Zepeto coins to go to the metaverse. So I didn't really understand that, but they're already pushing people to try this new tech and the metaverse just automatically, just by getting a phone number. But we see in Asia how much they love anime and the digital world. They're very quick when it comes to things like that. So I think they're a really good example of what the metaverse is just by their interface on their application and the users. You have to think also the generation of the people that are using it. They're a lot younger than us. They're really quick. They're really smart. So yeah, maybe the average 40-year-old isn't in the metaverse. Decentraland is, you see a lot of older folks in there, but Roblox, Zepeto, a lot of the crowds are younger, and they understand content creation when it comes to immersive experiences.
Actually, you just covered most of my points. So
it's bound to happen at least
I have
once on
some.
the panel.
I have some points. So you were talking about the Asian countries, and I really like this thing because in Asia, the way that they look to technology is how to use it in their life. In our case, mostly in the Gulf countries, is more about luxury wearing, let's say. So in Asia, when you see an iPhone, you don't see people having much iPhones like in the Gulf countries, but you see how they are really advanced with their technology. And so they are trying to develop something that is affordable, since they have a lot of resources, something that adapts this innovation. So this is my part of what I think is the metaverse innovative or development approach for it. So instead of focusing a metaverse with just the VR at the current stage, from now to like 10 years from now, we are seeing how Vision Pro, they gave us like a really high-end technology, Meta Quest, all these VR headset. But again, we have the battery issues. So until we resolve the battery issues, we have to focus on what source of technology that we have in hand. So which is like, PCs, we know how the GPUs are so expensive as you go forward, but as the technology starts to advance more and more, the older generations of these GPUs are going to be cheaper, because the higher end that can operate, let's say, instead of just operating a high-end, like 8 gigabytes of RAM in a game, let's say, you can do it for like 32 gigabits by 10 years by now. And we went to the moon with a couple megabytes of RAM and CPU. So yeah, I think the innovation, the development, the first stage of the development is education. Because education, you have to educate the current generation, because the generation that is coming, they are already like born with iPads already. So most of them, Fortnite, you tell them Fortnite, they just get crazy. Roblox, they get crazy. I'm serious. I mean, like, you saw how there is like young people who are playing Fortnite, even beating like 20, 30 years old people. So they already have this type of mentality. So if we focus the technology on giving it more accessibility than just a VR headset, this is gonna push the metaverse to a new like level, new user base as well. So because also, if we build a VR headset, like Vision Pro is like what, 3.5K, and no one, like majority of people cannot buy it. But if you do like a VR headset for like $200, and it's going to be by 10 years from now, because the $3,500 is going to be something maybe, 1 gram of weight maybe. And yeah, I think we need to more focus on broadening our user base, adapting, mobile applications, PCs, and trying to somehow give the lower GPUs a chance to build stuff. It is so difficult to build a high quality metaverse, but we can start, let's say, with a high quality visuals with a very low like computing system. This way, we can adapt smaller processors onto the game, use lesser batteries as well. And yeah, I think this is what we need to do in like the development of the metaverse from now on.
Yeah. So flexibility across the board is basically what everybody's saying in different terms.
I mean, like a metaverse is a community base. It's not one type person. So we need to be flexible with each other, work together. It's not going to be like, oh, I'm going to be the #1 company and I don't want to take any opinions, because you're not going to succeed. You need to have outer ideas as well.
So I have a list of questions, and now you've skipped me down, because it leads into a great one, which is, we are often now siloed by the ecosystems that we're involved in. All of us have one place that our focus happens to, well, less so for you with an incubation background, but in a lot of cases, we're introduced to the metaverse either through a specific blockchain, a specific community. That's where you start, that's where your roots are. But one of the biggest things that we've been talking about with most of these panels is the idea of interoperability, or how you have different virtual worlds that could potentially talk to each other. Because the idea is you can have a lot of tools in your toolbox, and we all use a different combination of what's in there, but we're all still building a house together. I use the hammer, you use a drill, you've got the ruler, and somehow we put a house together. So that's a big thing that's upcoming, is it's no longer determined that there's one perfect chain for it. And the reality is each time we get a viable chain platform alternative, those are users that you can bring into your community, your incubation projects, your platform, your game structure. So what does that look like? Like, what kind of standards have to evolve for each of your areas of expertise? What has to evolve for us to have metaverses that are maybe not just cross-chain, but cross-community, cross-platform? What does that look like? Because from each of your perspectives, it's probably a little bit different. How do you standardize for that? Or how do you start thinking about standardizing for that?
Well, it's a tough matter, really tough matter, because how would you join a Mac and a Windows PC? How would you join the different operating systems or infrastructure of many brands of mobile phones. So it's a really a big challenge, and the challenge this time was even bigger because most of the metaverse that are already playing and some that have already left has its own blockchain to play with, and to make the cross-chain interoperability is not always gonna work. And maybe on EVM, most of them can not talk to each other, but each of them has its own world. So it's hard. As someone was telling before, if you have, for example, a specialty for when you go to play on medicine, when you're going to school or learning, it's very useful. But why not make the same thing that the whole world? You go to a learning center, and we go with your Quest or with your Vision Pro. It's like an utopia, but maybe in the following years they can standardize. But I really think it's one of the biggest challenges is to make one only word.
I mean, yeah, that's really true what you're saying. But how I think of joining these metaverses together. So, for example, let's say if we have a special metaverse for education, and one metaverse for just to think about it like a university or a school or like a building, let's say. So we have one building for education, one building for doctors, one building for commerce, real estate, all these stuff. And then it is going to be so challenging, and in what I think from what we are seeing in the current technology is going to be impossible, because different blockchains are not trying to work together, they're trying to compete with each other. But if in the coming future, if we see the adoption of the blockchain and Web3, I think people are going to somehow standardize what are these technologies. We can play with the features, but this is the basics going to stay the same. And then people can start, we can work together on different blockchains, on different projects, different metaverses. You want to collaborate with me, I can do something, custom for you to join my metaverse, blah, blah, blah. But at the current stage, I think a metaverse on its own, the only way that we can connect and try to work together is by like having different versions of our metaverses. So this metaverse like specializes in games. Okay, so if you want to go to any game, this is the right metaverse to do it. If you want to go like to education, this is the right metaverse to do it. Other metaverses can have some part of this adoption in their metaverse, but there should be, like, in my opinion, it's going to be from like 10 years from now, it's going to be like top 10, let's say, metaverses. Each metaverse is going to be specializing in something, and we are going to work together in this sense. Because the idea of a metaverse with the blockchain, when it came with the blockchain, is to make transactions easier. So if you don't have the capability of combining these transactions, at least combine the ideas that you're thinking of, work together rather than competing with each other. And yeah, I think this is the only way from now, from what I see the technology is going, because we're not focusing mainly on metaverses as you said. I think it's going to be with just ideas, categories for each metaverse. This is how I see it. Maybe in 10 years something different happens. We have a united blockchain that can combine all of us. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to add to that. I don't really know all the technical aspects to the interoperability. I don't even know how to say it. But as far as like user experience, I've been able to go from one metaverse to another. So like as far as like Decentraland, I could download a VRM, which is my avatar, and then upload it to HyperFi. All I have to do is walk through a wall, and it takes me to the next metaverse. The metaverse is just like a website, so you go from one website to the next. You're just, doing it in an immersive experience. So I don't know what kind of tools are going to be needed to make it a smooth experience, because each metaverse might have a different software, Unity, Unreal. So maybe if there was just information before you enter into the next realm or the next universe, maybe that can help users realize maybe how long it may take to enter into these metaverses. But that's all I can add to that. But as far as I've been able to go from Decentraland to Spatial Fine to HyperFi to Crypto Voxels Fine. But as far as bringing your avatar and tools and wearables or collectibles, that can be another thing to think about in the future of how companies are going to do that.
So, in my opinion, I mean, it's almost impossible, right, to connect everything together at the same time. So I think the real problem is it's too decentralized. There needs to be a central body that controls, okay, who builds what, for what purpose, and it's too focused on entertainment. I think creating the metaverse and the whole idea of AI, VR, everything's beautiful, right? But it's too focused on gaming, on there's no barrier to entry. Aside from the tech itself, people building on it, okay, might be complicated, but there's so many great developers that can do it pretty easily, right? It might be expensive, but there's no central entity that says, okay, you guys can do this, you guys can't do this. I mean, I think, in my opinion, this is the main problem. I mean, I'm probably going to get a lot of bad press for saying it's too decentralized.
I do agree with you.
Yeah.
I just said, it is difficult to have something, it is nearly impossible with the current technology to have something that it's decentralized. Centralization in such thing is totally, I agree.
It needs to happen.
Yeah, you have to have centralization. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, well, the other thing to consider too is just a jumping off question. It doesn't necessarily mean that it has to happen, but I think each of you has touched on something which really comes down to what are blockchains for? Blockchains hold information in order for you that anyone can go look at. And especially what you said is, I'm taking my information with me from site to site. That's going to be the big thing. Is the reality is my blockchain doesn't need to talk to your platform, doesn't need to talk to your, medical app, doesn't need to talk to your singing venue. But one thing that we do have the power with blockchain is to say, okay, well, whatever I lock into the blockchain about my avatar, about my credentials, about the metaverse that I was at last, then can be pulled by anybody else's programming. So it may be that we're looking at a space, upcoming that isn't about seamlessly taking the same avatar through every universe, but that you know who I am when I sign in with my wallet. You can quickly check and see, do I have any information about this user that is relevant to what I'm building? And can I take that and use that to customize their experience? That's probably where we're going to have to go first, because the problem is we're too decentralized, but we're also madly, as a whole, against centralization.
I call it too degen.
Bringing those two together is going to be real tricky. So we're kind of coming to the end. Man, we've had some good conversation. I feel like maybe we can sneak in one more question. See, we got the thumbs up. We can sneak in one more question. And so there's a bunch of questions about regulation, and I know it's a tough one, and I keep bringing them. I know, see, everybody's shaking their head, but we've talked about it a lot, because let's face it, 2024 and this year, this epoch, this cycle that we're in has been a lot about regulation. Whether you are a money transmitter, whether you're an exchange, whether you're a blockchain company. So here we are across the board again. We have a wide range of opinions. Somebody who's looking to incubate viable projects, somebody who is working inside those projects as a content creator, somebody who is beholden to these regulations as a builder, and somebody who's trying to actually create a viable business who may or may not touch those regulations. Once again, this is a powerhouse of panelists to kind of look at, well, what are the challenges? Let's wrap this panel up with, do you foresee some challenges coming down the pipe with potential regulation of metaverses, or how metaverses need to be developed? And do you want them? Do you think they're good for the space? There's no wrong answer. So you just jump in and we'll kind of wrap her up with this.
I always talk through experience. As a user, I do think regulation is extremely important. Since I'm in a decentralized environment, I've been through so much, I guess, toxicity. There's a lot of anonymous people in crypto and in the metaverse. So I've experienced a lot of bullying, actually, in the metaverse. People can say and do whatever they want. They can steal ideas. A lot of my rights almost feel a little bit stripped apart. I'm a musician, a 3D artist, so I've had ideas taken away just by putting my stuff on the blockchain, because everything is open for everyone to see and take. So I think from a user and creator, I think protecting creators, artists, musicians, and their rights in music and artwork is extremely important. The bullying, I mean, I don't just think about myself. I think about the younger generation and how we see this in the internet, but when it comes to like anonymous people, we don't know what age group they are. I've been attacked for all kinds of things, and I think that's a really big dilemma that I think people really need to take seriously. For young kids, I think we need to protect people's minds as well. So yeah, that would be just from user experience. Luckily, I have a strong mind, but there are people out there that don't, and they actually use the internet because they want to feel connected to others. So this is one of the biggest challenges for me and for other people. And then as far as like me working in the DAO, it's decentralized, but we see a lot of centralization where people make decisions just by a few people. So yeah, these are some regulations I think that we need.
Well, what happens? As what was told before about this lack of centralization. So now we know that almost 70 countries in the world they are on trials to make this CBDC, the central bank coins.
So everybody is opening their eyes and want to have a share of it. For example, I'm from Brazil. Probably in December, the DREX, the national currency, is going to be the biggest, maybe in volume, or Brazil is like the eighth or ninth economy of the world. It's a very big country, so it's putting an official currency over there, and these global currencies, they will have to talk to each other, of course. So there would be no purpose on having them maybe connected the chains, or maybe even creating a bridge or something like that. That would be a little bit more tough, but some way they will have to have their interoperabilities. But so I think this will eventually create more regulations for Metaverse, or these other ways to spend these coins, or to use, to make purchases, to go around. So I think maybe within a few years, when we have this interoperability with the world coins, eventually something will be done about the metaverse as well. That's my opinion.
Yeah, so I think regulation is very important, but from different perspective. On one end, okay, the security aspect as an investor, doing due diligence for a couple of months, okay, you can still invest in the project could go down because you're investing in startups, right? But at the same time, there needs to be regulation up to a point where it doesn't destroy the industry. Like we have to regulate, but not ruin it, essentially, not put the bureaucracy into it, essentially. So in my opinion, this is what needs to be done. Regulation is very important. Because at this point, there's no barrier to entry in this industry whatsoever, zero. I mean, I can create a token on my phone right now, and put on the market, put some liquidity, and that's it, right? So we should, I mean, I'm all for young kids, technology, learning how to do these things, but there has to be some limits, I mean, I've lost a lot of money over the years in this industry, and I'm all for regulation, but not the regulation that they want to impose on us. So yeah, there has to be a limit.
I think, yeah, like the type of regulation is really important. Like you cannot just regulate any movement in a blockchain. Like the main aim of the blockchain is decentralization. So if you're gonna regulate every single step in the project, it is gonna be difficult to even create a project. And as you said, yeah, you can just create a token and just put some liquidity. We saw meme coins just, you know, doing everything in the market, destroying all the market for all of us. I mean, yeah, so I think regulations is really important in a way, but it's not just to be, let's say, US only regulated or Europe regulated. It should be the whole world sitting together, thinking about this. We need to do something that we can secure investors, we can secure creators, we can secure developers, we can secure projects. So every single aspect of regulation is going to be so important that, okay, if you're an investor, you have these some sort of guarantees, let's say. If you are a creator, your identity is safe. If you get like any bullying, any stuff, you can just report it to this like organization, let's say. If you're a developer, you have to get limited with the technology that is given to you, so you don't go beyond that and create something that to scam people. And for projects as well, like do something that is legal, don't scam people, and all these stuff. I think, like, you know, KYCs, KYB, everything can be a good start to start this regulation. But I think, yeah, regulation is really important. It's gonna help everyone, even users themselves, because there are some users that they want to experience this, but they're seeing that the negativity is coming from majority of people. So yeah, I do agree with all of you guys, yeah.
Fantastic. What a panel. Holy cow. There we go. We started a little rough. We carried it through, and this has been amazing. So Gaylord's he's coming up here to kick
Oh
us
yeah,
all
I mean,
off,
for the
but,
people here in the audience, make a big round of applause for them. That was definitely interested. And I hope, especially the people at home, that could follow that, because, you know, it's been a big topic. And I like how you made sure you included most of the pillars in the metaverse. So like a user or a creator. And
it's almost like somebody planned this panel really well.
And we were afraid to be just two panelists all of here.
well, we made it work. I'm very happy. By the way, for him, it's his first time he's doing a panel in person, outside of the metaverse. That's a fun little nugget. Thank you very much. You can come off the stage now. Make some noise again for them. Thank you very much. Leave the microphones there. Yeah, make sure you grab your water.